In this video, I'll be talking about the market where we are right now, and also going over some of the names I'll be watching out there for next week and talking about my game plan altogether. But before talking about the market and all the game plan entry and exit, let's talk about the calendar. It's really important to know what's going on next week. So if we look at the calendar really quick here, you will see that next week is going to be mainly a Fed week. We have a bunch of Fed speaker next week. So Monday, right out of the bat, in the morning, we have two Fed speakers, so definitely be careful on that. And one of the main data that will be coming out is going to be the US leading economy indicator. They're going to be moving the market as well. And on Tuesday, we have more Fed speakers as well, so more Fed members giving a speech. So definitely be aware of that. So it's going to be really interesting about the comment that we're making about the market, because they can actually make any random comment that can actually create volatility in the market. That's something that if you day trading to be aware of. All right, and nothing crazy altogether in this week, but we mainly have a bunch of Fed speakers that can make crazy comments regarding economy that can move the market up and down. All right, on Wednesday, only one main event, nothing crazy. On Thursday, we have a couple. Only have one Fed speaker here, but we have everything home sales. We also have PMI that will be coming out, and of course, initial jobless claim like every Thursday. So definitely gonna have that. And on Friday we have more, Fed speaker again. All right, so that's something like I want you guys to be aware of, that this week gonna be mainly heavy on the Fed speaker side. So definitely be aware of the time you see day trade, depending on the days, and be aware of that. So let's go back over the chart really quick and talk about some of the stock I'll be watching. But before that, I'll be talking about SPY really quick. So if you go on the weekly time frame, you will see that for the past 4 weeks, we have a nice green week. All right. And for the past 5 to 6 weeks, after 6 weeks, pretty much I only have one red week, which is this one right here. All right. This is the only red week that we have for the past 6 weeks. But for the past 4 weeks, so I would really have a nice momentum to the upside. And one of the main targets I had going to the upside, leaving that zone right here, is pretty much the 600. We almost got there. Right, we're not too far from there. We're about 6 points away from it, like from 594. But on Friday, the way we actually closed, we closed the market, and after hour we have a bearish news, right? So the US credit got downgraded, and that actually caused the market to actually have a nice sell-off after hours. So if you go on the 50-minute really quick, let's look at it. How does it look? All right. So if you look on the 5 minute here, you can see how we have a nice partial on the morning, where pretty much I gave back some of the gain we actually have in pre-market, and for the rest of the day on Friday we actually tried the way up higher, show a nice bullish price action for the market. And then after that, then the news actually happened, and we have a nice pullback. Not even pullback, a sell-off. Right? Pretty much gave back all the gains that actually make from that low right here to all the way to the high. That those gains was pretty much back where they were, gave back everything, and actually closed lower. And if we look at future right now, future also open ahead. So most likely there's a high chance that the market will be open ahead, and this can actually give an opportunity for the bear to actually come heavy and push your price lower and lower, and give an opportunity to take profit at a more aggressive level. But what am I looking at in general? So if you look on the 4 hour here, all right, one thing I'm watching is pretty much, I already told you the main key I'm watching to the upside was the target at 600. And since that we're not gonna get there right away, because we pretty much having that sell-off, and we need to actually recover first. And most likely with that news, we can definitely have another round of news. If it's pretty much bearish news, then you can actually have a more aggressive move to the downside. So far we don't know where SPY will be opening. Well, I think it will be open. We're gonna have the overnight data in about 15 minutes, but we'll see where we are. But something I'm watching is pretty much a possible. We have a small gap that we have here, so definitely have like a possible move to go all the way down to the 570, which is it might not happen in one day, but we already closed right there on Friday, where the whole market closed for the week is about 588. So I think like the 580 needs to hold. I think we can actually close it below it, depending on where we open overnight today, but definitely watching the 580. So if we cannot hold the 580, then definitely most likely gonna go back to the 570 and go for that gap fill right here that I'm watching at that level. So that's definitely something when I'm watching. I want to see the 580 to actually hold. If you're gonna have a bounce right here, then if you lose the 580, you can actually have more downside and make another 10-point move to the downside from 580 to the 570. I can actually go there and actually close that gap. All right, so that's something I'm watching. But before that, let's go back to the 1 hour really quick. Let's go look on the price action that we have here and see where we actually close. All right, so if you look at here, that level was supposed to actually hold if you didn't have that news. So we already gave back the gain that we have here from the 1 hour, gave back everything here. So it didn't have the news. I think I was expecting this level, the 588.5 at a nice bounce level. But because of the news, most likely we're gonna open below that level. All right, as we open below that level, one of the other level to actually watch in the 1 hour was I think around the 584. But most likely we'll probably be around that level or below that level. We'll see what we open, so I can already talk about it. But one of the main target to the downside is the 570. All right, so 570, and if we cannot hold the 580, because after we actually lose that, the 580, that's gonna be a key point for me, the key level I'm watching to actually hold. We more stronger than the 584. So definitely, if we actually lose that, the 580 needs to actually hold. If not, we can go down to the 570, as I said here. So that's what I'm having on SPY specifically. Nothing crazy. All right, so we pretty much like I love that stuff. So on the bearish side, that's what I think like we can actually go all the way down if you can hold that those level to go back inside that pocket zone right here. All right, close that down and when we are holding here, and if we get here, then I'm probably gonna be a buyer depending on what kind of narrative drives the market. But I need to see, all right, before that, we need to get there first, right, and then see how the price action actually behave. But if not, we'll see how the buyers hatting up, because that news was dropped after hour on Friday. So now we need to see how the market actually digest that news. So far, all right, we have a gap down on future. So if I go here, you can see even here, I guess on KQQ it was way more aggressive. KQQ has been a bit weaker than SPY together. So if you look at here, it seems like the dip is getting butt a little bit. So we actually having a nice bounce. So you can see on future, on NQ specifically, we have that sell-off right here, and we actually open. We have that gap, and it seems that the gap is about to get filled, and see how we actually open. So if we can actually have a gap fill, because it's gonna be a long night. Guys, they have a gap fill and just to actually reject, or we actually have a gap fill and trying to actually recover some of the gain that we have, because so far the market been pretty much bullish, while the buyers pretty much aggressive. They're buying every dip and we're going to the upside. So we'll see if it's gonna go back for that gap fill and see if they're strong enough to actually reclaim that and reclaim the 21,400 and go back to maybe this high level right here. So I don't think future will turn green altogether unless we have some bullish news, right? So I don't think it will open green. I think it can actually recover some of the losses. But if not, or if they see some selling pressure, we can even go back and go all the way to 21,000 right here, 21K260 and 21,240. Or I think I can actually go back and actually chill right here and open on that level. But we'll see how it goes. I don't want to go too deep into this. Let's talk about some of the names I'll be watching next week. So one of my main watch for next week is pretty much Apple. So here, if you've been following my analysis, pretty much on my Discord Premium, I'll be talking about Apple and having this zone right here at the nice selling pressure. I actually told my team, if you get here, you need to focus more on the selling side on Apple, because we can actually have selling pressure being invoked and have the seller push your price lower. Right? We definitely have confirmation that this zone is pretty much a nice selling pressure. And since I can see, even though we actually clear the 200, put more on the key level I'm watching at the key pivot level on Apple, above it to be bullish to go wide all the way up to the 210 and try to go back to the 220. We didn't get there because we couldn't clear that selling zone right here. So we pretty much, with the market receiving that bearish news, actually leaving that zone again and go lower, especially by actually losing that 210 level that was supposed to actually hold. I pretty much lost that on Friday after hour, and depending on seeing how future looks like right now overnight, then we can definitely stay below 210 on Monday. We'll see that where we open, but we can definitely have enough back to the 200. And if you go to the 200, that's a good level. I'm watching for a bounce entry, or depending on how the market move in general. But on the 200, I'll probably look for a nice bounce if we get there with a normal momentum. If we come here to the strong momentum, I'm gonna stay away from it because we can actually break that level really aggressively. So I don't want to be part of that unless I'm playing the downside as well. So definitely watching Apple to the downside so far to go back to the 200, and then on the 200 looking for a bust opportunity. And if he can actually hold the 200, then I want to actually catch the move back to the 210 that I was trying to catch in the first place here, and I didn't catch that because it actually happened over the weekend. We have a nice gap up and actually hit that level quite a way. So I couldn't catch that as a swing. So I missed that move because that was on my game plan. Made that move to go above 200 to go to 210. And now I have the opportunity to either catch the move down to the 200 or catch the bounce back to the 210. So that's something I'm watching on Apple specifically. So if you look at another name here that I'm watching, let's go over Qualcomm right here that I'm watching out for to the downside. I had a 150 target. I think it's about to be hit right now. This right here didn't go anywhere. We're trying to catch a big move on it. So it hasn't been moving pretty much like moving really terribly. All right, having nice, already ranging here, not going anywhere. So now it seems like it's about to actually break that. Sorry, that drawing. About to break that support right here. So if we break out in that gap fill that we can have all the way down to the 146. So from the 150 to the 146, that's about a 4-point move to the downside that we can catch. So that's something I'm watching. So especially that we've been riding that level. So if we break to the downside, it can be an aggressive drop to the downside. Something I'm watching on Qualcomm to see if we can actually catch that. And by going down to the 146, we're gonna have a nice gap fill on that name. That's something I'm definitely watching. And if you look at it on the daily time frame, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And we have a nice trend line that we actually broke at that level with a gap, and we can actually come back, fill that gap and also retest that trend line right here. So we fill that gap right here and retest that trend line before actually going back again to the upside to actually break that downtrend and go all the way. Well, I have a big target at 180, 181. That's something I'm watching. That's a really big target because we need to actually have a big move to get all the way there. If it comes from there here to all the way there, that's about almost like a 30% move. So that's a big target that I'm watching on Qualcomm. So if we get to the trend line bounce right here, I think like the market can be really bullish again. I can actually open a long swing on Qualcomm trying to catch the big move that can be here about 30%. I don't think I'm watching. All right. So the last name I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be, let's go back up right here, and Amazon right here really quick. All right, so Amazon pretty much like been okay. So let me remove all this stuff. I'm gonna go to the 4 hour and see we have a possibility of a gap fill. All right, I'm watching as well. On the 193. All right, so definitely watching to the downside to see. It's all about what we open. I think like if we open, let me see how bad we need to go down to fill that gap. Yeah, about 4%. All right, about 4%. I think from where we are right now, we already gap down on future. I think this can be done about 2%. So if we actually open about 2% on this level, can I make another move to down 2%? So definitely watching the 197 first. Like if we actually stay below 197, I think it can go all the way down to the 193. All right, that's gonna be on this level right here. So the 197, that needs to be hold. If you actually be below that, go to the 193, and the 193 is gonna be my bounce level that I'll be watching on Amazon. All right, if we lose that, then we can go all the way down to the 185 for the rest of the week. That's gonna be one of the target I'm watching for the next for the rest of the week if we actually clear the 193. All right, this right here so far is a bounce level, but if we can actually hold, then the 185 is gonna be the main target to the downside. All right, and if you can hold the 193, then you can actually go back to the 200. That's one of the key target. I would say it's pretty much a sack level for me on Amazon. All right, especially If you get hold of 193, then you can actually go back to the 200, and that's about a 7-point move to the upside. I want to catch. I want to be able to actually catch some of that. So that's one of the gameplay I'm watching on Amazon right here, and we'll see how it plays out. So I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm gonna stop here. Let me know what you think about it, and let me know what kind of name you'll be watching and what's your game plan. Thanks for watching, and catch you on the next one.